Greetings, Tenacity Speaks TV. How is everyone? I hope everyone is having a great day. I am having a good day. Today is a good day for me. What makes today good is that I woke up without much difficulty getting prepared for the day. I was able to do my without getting too winded. I was able to even make my bed without being too winded, and had a good breakfast this morning. And those things, also really important is I slept well last night, and the sleeping well, and then being able to get up and do normal daily activities. Those type of things really make a difference in setting the tone for my day. And so my day got off to a good start. So let's dive into what I want to talk about in today's story time. And I want to shout out a particular person who is a sister to me and is I can't even use the word friend to describe her because she's so much more than that. So shout out Sugar Love for the love, for the sisterhood, and for the encouragement. Sugar Love, I just so appreciate you and thank you for all you do. If you find this video, please check out Sugar Babes and give Sugar Love a like and a subscribe. Okay? All right. So with that said, today's story time, I want to talk about the racial disparity in our healthcare system, and specifically how that disparity has shown up in the treatment, the care, and what my experiences have been as a woman of color who has been a long time patient with sensitive and intricate healthcare needs. So what I want to say first and foremost is that the bulk of my treatment for my medical conditions I have received in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've had the great honor and pleasure to meet some of the most caring, amazing, professional, down-to-earth nurses, respiratory therapists, physicians, physician assistants, even the people that clean my room, the people that in dietary that bring my food. I have had the pleasure of working with real and being cared for by real professionals who you can tell that their calling is in healthcare, and for that I am forever grateful. But having received the bulk of my care in Atlanta, Georgia, and not originally being from Atlanta, Georgia, I'm originally from New Jersey, I want to say that I have noticed that there is a significant difference in the type of care that I received as a woman of color in the South versus the care that I received in the North. I didn't expect that would be the case, but I'll give you an example. When I had the CVID, I will never forget my pulmonologist called me with the most somber voice. Because of his voice, I expected to transition. Because of his tone and the words that he used, I did not think that I would beat CVID. Fully expected to transition. And apparently he did too. He expected me to transition as well. And so I fought at home. I did not go to the hospital because I had CVID early in at a time when all of the treatment was experimental and people were transitioning at high numbers at my local hospital. And so I opted to fight the good fight at home. Okay. When my physician called me and told me that I had a positive result for CVID, he had zero input to give as to what I could do. I asked if I should take steroids. I asked if I should take antibiotics, and he said, well, it can't hurt, was his answer. And so that is just to give you an indication of what my experience was in Atlanta. Now, I have a sister who was a COVID nurse, a CVID nurse. And because she was seen, and she was a CVID nurse in Connecticut, okay, so in the north. And they were well advanced in comparison to Atlanta in what treatment they were offering. Same time period now, early in. The treatment options that they were giving patients in Connecticut, vastly different from what was offered in Atlanta. And so thankfully, my sister gave me pointers and told me what to do. She told me things like exercise, no matter how weak you feel, get out that bed and move. She taught me about laying prone. She taught me about using citrus and boiling citrus and breathing it in. She gave me some other homeopathic options that were tremendously helpful. And at the end of the day, I was in the middle of my bed gasping for air, gasping for breath. And I began to talk to God. And I began to tell God, God, you said that you would give me life and you would give it more abundantly. And I began giving God back what he says concerning me. And as I did this, my breathing began to slow down and be regulated, so that instead of gasping, I was breathing regularly in the very moment in the middle of my bed. And that's how I recovered, and that's how God healed me from CVID. Now, unfortunately, my sister, when she tested positive, she did not have the same outcome that I did. She fought hard, and she fought till the end. And I am still grieving, and I'm still learning to live in a world where my sister is in another realm, and I'm not able to pick up that phone and say, sister, it's tough. It's really tough. And as she was transitioning, of course, I went to Connecticut to be by her side. I want you all to know that discovering that I wasn't going to pray my sister out of the hospital bed like I thought, like I had planned when I got on that plane to head to Connecticut, it stressed me out so badly that I went into respiratory distress. And my nephew had to rush me to the ER, where I was then admitted in the ICU, not too far away from where my sister's body lay. I stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks in ICU, being treated for respiratory failure. The doctors ran all kinds of tests in Connecticut that were never run in Atlanta. Things like, what is she allergic to? Because they couldn't figure out, I'm like a medical mystery. They couldn't figure out, how could someone so young be this ill and we don't know why? And so they ran so many tests. We found out I'm allergic to everything. We found out that I need to be medicated for those allergies because it triggers my asthma. And when my asthma is triggered, it becomes like a circle. So it's asthma triggered, breathing difficulty, pneumonia, respiratory failure, pneumonia, asthma, and it just keeps going in this circular sort of way. And so, the doctors in Connecticut were extremely monumental in providing me with treatment options and even equipment. Even the equipment that they used, you guys, was equipment that I'd never seen before because it just isn't available. It hasn't been ordered at the hospitals in the South, or at least not in Atlanta. And so there were these options available to me that I'd never received in the 10 plus years of treatment. at local hospitals in Atlanta. And so for me, I do, when you think about the population of Atlanta and how it is, the city of Atlanta proper is primarily Black, African American, people of color, whatever term you're comfortable using. When you think about the numbers and how it's predominantly people of color in the city of Atlanta, and this is just one example. Like, I have so many more, and we'll get into them. I'll probably do a part 2 to this story time so I can talk a little bit more in depth about some other examples. But this is just one specific example of not just, I want to be careful. I don't put it all on racial disparity. It's not like that's the one stamp answer for everything. So this is not to say that racial disparity is the end all, the be all, and the number one reason and the only reason for why the quality of care was different in Atlanta versus in Connecticut. But I will say that my treatment was vastly different. My experience was vastly different. Coming out of the South made a huge, huge difference. And the way race is seen in our healthcare system, I have found is different depending on where you are in the country. And I think that that's something that we as a society are not talking about. And it's worth having the dialogue about. So please stay tuned for part 2 of this video on my experiences with racial disparity in the healthcare system. I hope you enjoyed today's story time. Once again, this is Tenacity Speaks TV. And thank you all for watching, for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. Please hit that thumbs up button. Please hit your notification bell. Thank you so much for those of you who are tuning in, who are hitting a like, and please leave a comment. I want to hear from you. Let me know. Have you guys had any experiences with racial disparity in the healthcare system? Do you know someone who has? I'm very curious to hear from you all and find out what your experiences are. So please feel free to comment.